Now, Dannon, the yogurt maker, who is one of Cam's key sponsors, announced that while Newton would still be under contract, they were pulling all advertising that featured the quarterback. Here's their statement. We are shocked and disheartened at the behavior and comments of Cam Newton towards Jordan Rodriguez, which we perceive as sexist and disparaging to all women. It is entirely inconsistent with our commitment to fostering equality and inclusion in every workplace. It's simply not okay to belittle anyone based on gender. We have shared our concerns with Cam and will no longer work with him. Gatorade, another one of his sponsors, they had this to say: Cam's comments were objectionable and disrespectful to all women, and they do not reflect the values of our brand. Gatorade fully supports women who compete in, report on, coach for, or play any role in sport on or off the field. Well, that's a lot to digest from where this has started. So what is your reaction to this entire controversy?
Thought about my uncle always used to love to tell me, and something I could certainly practice, which is better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. And however Cam meant this, whatever his intention was, I really don't care. There's no excusing it. What bothers me even more than what Cam said is the constant practice of, well, what about X, Y, and Z? Well, what about her tweets?
Been a lot of what
about what this person
today.
said? This has no place in public conversation, and the fact that it even has to be discussed, dissected, unpacked, and worse, debated is what's really alarming. This is so clearly silly and inappropriate until it doesn't deserve conversation about why. It's clearly wrong. You shouldn't have said this. And there are plenty of guys who can't break down or draw a route tree. There are plenty of guys who ask silly questions all the time. If you're Cam Newton, it's silly to think it and believe it, because it makes me wonder, what kind of female company do you keep, as if football and routes are akin to rocket science? Secondly, for you to say it, and he had a moment to think about it, because he smiled the moment she brought up routes. Why not, as I tell you all the time, let that fish swim by? Why do you have to say that 7 years into your career at a podium? But at this point, I'm tired of trying to figure out why Cam says some of the stuff that he says. So ultimately, I just hope, for his sake and anybody else's sake, when people say offensive things or when they co-sign offensive things, they tend to go on the defensive. Take this opportunity to learn why you were wrong, as opposed to being anti-media or turning it into something that it's not. Enough from me. I'd rather hear from you. No.
I mean, look, I think you said everything that I was thinking and feeling. But I will say this, is that unfortunately when conversations like this start, the whataboutism does come out. But we forget that it's okay for two people to be wrong. He was wrong for what he said, and she's wrong for those inappropriate tweets.
Absolutely. However, that doesn't mean she's deserving of disrespect.
No, it doesn't. Nor does it mean that one excuses the other, which is kind of where we are in this place in this conversation. So people have to understand that women, especially in this business, we deal with that a lot, that you get a lot of these backhanded sort of compliments.
I'm about to say, not to put you on the spot, does any of your experiences come to mind?
Well, you know, you're just used to.
You get it every day. You're almost numb to it, I imagine, right?
On some level, which I hate to be numb to it, because that excuses and gives power to the people that do it. But as I said to a friend of mine who asked me my thoughts and opinions about this, I said it's the akin of when you tell somebody black, you're shocked that they speak well, or you're shocked that they're articulate. It's the same thing. So if you're a woman in sports and you hear like, oh, you know a lot for a woman, that's essentially what he was saying. And the fact that some people actually think that's complimentary doesn't speak well of what they think. What else would a woman who's a professional reporter, of course she would know that.
There's a lot of conversations that he could be in with women that he would sound funny, quote unquote, trying to talk about. And to me, it's like, this should not be about her and her past from this standpoint. If he wanted to disparage her individually,
if he made it directly
it's funny to hear you talk about routes.
That's
he
fair
said
game.
A female, which is.
Yeah, but it's also fair, I will say, going forward, but now that those tweets of hers have been exposed, it's also fair if black athletes or athletes, period, question her reporting based off what those tweets have exposed.
No, that's true. And look, I'm okay with bringing receipts, but just to the right transaction.
Yeah.